Well, hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you are, lucky enough indeed to be doing it too. I'm Bushka on Blitz, and I am back today doing it with you, to you, and for you in the T54. You can see that here. That's the red hot little number in front of you. I'm also going to run a little bit of Object 140. Now, this is a patron-sponsored post. I won't belabor the point, but if you want to sponsor the channel, there's a lot of good things about it. There's a lot of reasons why you should. That link is just there. This post is about penetration values, namely the upcoming pen nerfs. I did a stream last night with the guys from Wargaming, Tack and Alex from Wargaming, otherwise known as Big Tuna, that's Tack's name, and Cynical Silicon, which is Alex DiGiorgio, who is the head producer for Asia for Blitz. And we had some really interesting questions put to them by people in the YouTube channel, and I put some questions to them as well. And one of them was basically, and this was one of mine, what are the pen nerfs about? Are they about nerfing tanks specifically, or are they about changing the way the tanks are played? And the end result of the answer I got, and I'm paraphrasing here, is simply that they're trying to change the manner in which lights and mediums are played. They want them to be less effective in direct confrontations with heavy tanks frontally, where heavies have their most successful armor profile, and TDs too, and they want them to be more of a traditional flank and spank roll, which is something that I thought, well, I already do that. I don't have a problem with that. I roll with that and I do really well. So they're talking about style. And style is particularly relevant when you're talking about tanks like the T54 and the Object 140 and the T62A and any medium tank worth its salt at higher tiers. I'm going to do the same kind of thing with the LTTB too. Don't worry, I'll get to that. These tanks are most effective when they are on the sides of targets. And I'm running it with the T54 because I wanted to basically do a litmus test, which was if I can run the T54 firing 99% AP rounds and still be successful, then I don't think that the pen nerfs are going to terribly affect the way the tank performs. I just think it's going to affect the way the tank is played. Now the T54 gun that I'm running is the 100mm D10 T2C. Now that has 201mm of pen in its AP round. The D54 that you can run has 219. So if you do want to change up to a gun that has more pen on its APs, there you go. Pretty much every game I'm running in is a game where I have the lowest penetration values of anyone on their AP rounds. And that's fair enough because the tank has a lot of other things going for it. And they want to see a game where the style is that you cannot just frontally smash heavy tanks, like that E75 for instance. He is an absolute monster, and at 201mm of pen, he is a generic tomato. I cannot touch him, apart from his hatch, and he's got to sit very, very still for me to get that shot in at all. But what I can do with the T54 is switch to heat, and that will penetrate him frontally all over at this range. Now, that's important because you can see there as soon as I've switched up to heat, his armor has become more or less obsolete. It's a very, very easy pen on that lower glacis for what is, statistically speaking, just about the most heavily armored thing you're going to find at tier 9, the same tier as the T54. And everything else, though, I've had no problems penning with AP. Everything else, I've been able to take my time, get my shots in, and absolutely wreck a lot of tanks. And I'm still doing so here. And I guess the point that I'm trying to put across here is that the style of the tank will have to change. You will not be able to just massively switch to heat and destroy things. And that's all right. I don't mind that. I got used to playing the T54 way back in the day when I didn't have a contributor account and I didn't have any money and I didn't really have a lot of cash to splash around. So I was playing it as a tank that had 5 rounds of heat in it, no more, and I would quite often finish games with heat still in the back pocket. And as such, I didn't lose a lot of cash because I was grinding tanks and I just could not afford to play premium. And I get idiots coming on the tube all the time now saying, hey, you fired APCR into the side of the RU251 noob and all this. And I'm like, I just don't care because this is wargaming's account and they're paying for the bloody round. So I just don't really care. And as such, I kind of was a bit worried that I'd forgotten about this play style and whether it would still function for me. But rest assured, there were no issues. And I'm going to show you a couple of games, one in the 54, another in the Object 140, and then a second in the 54. And they just so happen that both games were on black gold in tier 10 matches. And I had plenty of other games like this. I mean, we had a run. I played 13 games in the 54. We won 11 of them. Some of them I was solo, some I was with Mr. Ouija, some I was with Mac the Knife. And the average damage throughout was about 2,600 or so. Now, I understand that not everyone has experience. And I'm not saying that I'm a great player. What I'm saying is that I am an experienced player. So I tend to make fewer errors than someone who's just coming to a tank. And the upshot of it all is that you can run these tanks still really successfully, really aggressively, with absolutely no troubles at 201 millimeters of penetration. And that includes tier 10 games. And I don't think that the penetration nerfs are worth getting worked up about. I really don't. And the more I play the tanks at a very limited credit style, I guess is the best way to say it, the more I realise that you can be super effective in these kind of vehicles still, as long as you are willing to play them in a certain style. And that style is basically intelligently, with thought and with care, and utilising the real skills of the tank. Because although it's great to be able to switch up to heat, heat got nerfed recently. Well, it didn't get nerfed. It got put back to how it was meant to be correctly, which is it's meant to be stopped by spaced armor. It's meant to get eaten by tracks. It's meant to suck when it hits a module. And it now does. And so the guys that ran T54s and just ran heat, like my good mate Snake Eyes, and penned everything, are going to have to adjust their play styles. But if you were a player who didn't have a whole lot of money in the first place, and you were playing very, very limited number of heat shells in a T54 or a 62A or an Object 140, you were not going to have to adjust your play style at all if you were successful with the tank. And if you weren't, well, that's because you weren't playing it correctly. You can see here, I think the most valuable thing that this tank has going for it. Now you can see I'm going to switch to heat straight away on the E75. And that's a shot that you are still going to hit in an M46 pattern or one of those tanks that has relatively low premium penetration. So I don't think that's actually going to be too heavily nerfed. But the way you want to play these tanks is to take advantage of their true value. A T54 is successful because it has a really strong armor profile, but even more, there is something that we always miss when we talk about these tanks, and we always want to have an excuse for losing to a T54 or an Object 140 or a T62A, and don't feel like I'm singling anyone out because I do the same thing. This E100 cannot hit me. It's because I'm underneath the mound in front of him, and by the time he notices that I've come there, I'm already at his side, and now I'm still using AP rounds. Like, for God's sakes, this whole game I'm using AP rounds. I'm going to use some heat, 2 heat rounds on an E75. I think I'm going to use 2 heat rounds on a Jagdpanzer E100 at the end, just because I want to get the damage. I mean, I didn't have to. These tanks have fantastic camouflage. It is no surprise to me that the Object 140 has fantastic camouflage. It has the best camouflage at its tier for a medium tank, and the 62A is not far behind it. And they're also so low to the ground that they are easy to hide. They are so easy to hide behind a rock or a berm or a fold in the grass. And as you saw, I was a tier 10 game again. Like, that's 4,200 damage, and I fired bugger all premium ammunition, and like, I just got to the flanks of tanks. I got to the sides of tanks. And I'm in an Object 140 here, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to be really aggressive, but I'm not going to go straight into the enemy heavy line. I'm going to go to the side, and I think that's something that older players that have got thousands and thousands of games do. They drive the tank to the path of least resistance. They naturally do that because they know the maps and they know how to do things. And that's about experience. That's not about doing anything else other than being having made the mistakes, there is no, like, you'll hear this from people all the time. There is no better way to learn than making a mistake. Like, if you can make a mistake and learn to live the tale and then turn around and put that into effect, you are going to be an incredibly successful person at whatever you do. The best people of the world made the most mistakes, manned up, made some more, manned up, made some more, went out there and then put all that into use and stopped making the errors that everyone else makes. And you're going to see this go. I don't fire a single round of Premo, not one single solitary round. And I do 3,000 damage because I drove the path of least resistance. And it's just possible that maybe people start understanding that wargaming have a vision for the game, and whether you like it or not, it's their game and their vision. And their vision says that they want to have a game where there are heavy tanks, there are light tanks, there are TDs, there are medium tanks, and they have predefined roles. And they operate within those predefined roles. And sometimes those lines will be blurred, and sometimes they will be remarkably blurred. But whatever the case may be, they're not balancing these tanks with penetration values to nerf the tank. They are balancing these tanks so that you play them in a different manner and that the roles of the tanks become more defined. Here we are again on Black Goldville, and I really want to point out why this is important. I am in an absolutely tiny spot in a tank with no gun depression, but I can't really be seen from anywhere else. I've isolated this guy in front of me. It is very hard for the rest of his team to hit me, and it's nigh on impossible unless they're spotted. Unless I'm spotted, I'm just not, because this guy has to hide behind a rock, or I'm going to fill him up again and again and again, as you can see here. This is not special. This is not special play. This is just being sensible. And there's like the edges of Port Bay. The flanks on mines. You're going to see I'm hitting an IS-7 there. I'm using AP. The reason I'm able to hit him is because I'm not shooting him through the spaced armor. The spaced armor on the IS-7 on the side angles up from the side of the tank. So if you hit upwards, you're actually shooting up into a flat surface. And again, I'm just talking about experience and old age and treachery and knowing where I've got to hit someone. And I know that if he turns square onto me, I'm going to have to use premium ammunition. And in fact, the only time I fire premium ammo in this entire game is when I accidentally load up Premo and then hit the side turret of an IS-8 because I thought the IS-7 was going to push on me. This is not about pen. I have far and away the lowest pen in the game. I've got 201 millimeters, and that's all I'm going to use. And I'm holding a tier 10 corner with nothing but my wits and a 3000 DPM tank. And they're not nerfing the DPM, they're not nerfing the height, and they're not nerfing the camo, and they're not nerfing you. The biggest weapon on any of these tanks is the driver. If you can effectively drive this tank and put it in a good situation where it can be successful, they're not nerfing the upper glacis. And I mean, it's just penetration, guys. Learn to drive it in a different manner. Learn to drive it to flanks. Learn to take the path of least resistance. I guarantee you that the really good players out there won't have any struggles at all. They will not be the people who are crowing about the problems they're having. Now see this, I think the IS-7 is going to push up and go straight on. I load heat, I accidentally fire some heat into the side of the IS-8. Forgive me, mea culpa, my fault. And I'm right back to AP when I realise what I've done. What a horrible thing to do. And I'm going to do the same to the IS-7 again. He's going to get me, but I go up into the side, through the track, no worries. 201 millimeters a pen. There's just no excuses for not being good in these tanks. It's not the tank's fault. We tend to believe that if we get beat, it's because there's an issue. And we always say, oh, the world's against me. We always whinge about this because we only pay attention when we lose 5 in a row. We don't pay attention when we win 5 in a row. And when we win 5 in a row, it's because the 7 guys on the green team were better than the 7 guys on the red team. And when we lose 5 in a row, it's because the 7 guys on the red team played better as a cumulative unit than the 7 guys on the green team. Don't stress about the pen, guys. It's not going to be the end of the world. I'm Bushka on Blitz. Until next time, look after your families and stay safe on the battlefield.